Welcome back to the Easy Double podcast interview series. Today we have the absolute privilege of being joined by California-born miler and 5K star Cooper Teare. Cooper burst onto the scene at college for Oregon, where he smashed the NCAA indoor mile record and anchored the DMR world best before taking the 2021 NCAA 5,000 meter title in a meet record 13:12. He then turned pro, signed with Nike, and cleaned up the 2022 national 1500 meter title, earning him a spot at the Eugene World Championships. Cooper's range stretches from 3:32 in the 1500, 7:30 over 3000 meters, 12:54 over 5000 meters, as well as a 2024 national cross country title. Cooper continues to document his journey on YouTube through Sober Running with training partner Cole Hocker and girlfriend Rachel MacArthur. Welcome to the Easy Door podcast, Cooper Teare.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's a great intro.
No, the pressure's always on with the intro because you've got to cover all bases and do the guys justice.
Yeah, I always I don't know, whenever people do like intros like that, I'm always like, dang, I've kind of done like a lot of stuff in my what feels like kind of a short career, at least like on the pro side. It's funny to hear like someone like objectively just say your accomplishments in order what you've done. It's really interesting, and like I think it puts a little bit more perspective on it when you're like just in the day-to-day grind of running. It's cool to be like, okay, I've actually like done some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, almost forces you to take a step back and be like, yeah, okay, not so bad.
Yeah, yeah. Even like in the midst of maybe like a disappointing season or race, you think, all right, it's one thing. Like I can still make it happen.
Yeah, it's hard as well because like I'm looking at kind of like your results and trying to paint a proper picture, but you don't know to what extent you hold certain weight with different results. Like to me,
Hmm.
something might seem like one of your standouts, but to you, something different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is hard. Everyone has like maybe those magic moments that maybe on paper don't seem like as crazy, but like yeah, I don't know. I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, okay, we'll take that and move on. It's an honor to have you anyway. Like, thanks so much for giving us some of your time, and hopefully we'll do it justice, and the listeners can enjoy it too. So you are in the middle of or at the end of your postseason break?
Yeah, I'm definitely basically at the end of it. Just got back from a little vacation. And so now just like I'm gonna go do like a pretty long bike ride later today. Just kind of some cross training, some easy running. So I've got a little time before we get back into like the meat and potatoes of training. But yeah, definitely like really felt like I needed a bit of an off season and a little step back from running after this season. So feels good, and I feel like pretty reset like mentally and physically. So at a good spot.
Yeah, cool. So that's been what since like post Fifth Mile, Fifth Ave.
Fifth Ave, we like stayed in New York a little bit after that, and then went to Portugal for like a week, which was really cool. But yeah, Fifth Ave was kind of the end of the season, so that was almost over 2 weeks now. So yeah, it's time to get back in before I get too fat.
Yeah. So have you been jogging throughout or not even?
A little bit. I kept going a little bit after Fifth Ave because I wanted to like when I was over in Portugal, I wanted to not run a single step. I didn't bring a single. I didn't bring running shoes or anything. So I was like, that's like the best thing ever, being able to pack your suitcase and not have to like save room for three pairs of trainers and like 10 running outfits. So definitely like lighten the load quite a bit.
Yeah, that's so disciplined to go that way, and I guess that's the forced hard reset, isn't it? Just not packing any of the gear.
Yeah, it's like out of sight, out of mind, totally. And I need that because I would definitely. There was like a night where we were in Lisbon and like we were down by the water and there was like hundreds of people running. I was like, I could get in some miles right now. Like this actually looks pretty nice. Uh, but like chalked it up to go get dinner and a drink and ended up being way better.
Yeah, sweet. So you didn't even go for a little swim, burn some calories that way?
I was swimming, but I was floating. I was floating like a little turtle. No laps, no laps in.
Actually, now you say it, I recall on one of the Sova videos, you're swimming and you're about as gracious as I think. So yeah,
Swimming is probably the vein of my my training. we're getting big into biking. Swimming's always just been like the third thing that just drags on. Like hour swim every week. I can't do it.
I was going to ask you about all the cross training stuff later, but like we're kind of at it now, so we might as well speak about it. So how are you like kind of implementing the cycling and the swimming into your weekly routine? Is it a thing when you're like when you've got a high training load always, or
No, it's like a pretty religious part of every week's training. And this has kind of evolved over my career being coached by Ben. When we were in college, we would do basically just like one or two cross training, strictly swimming, like 30-minute sessions, um, basically to supplement, doing a double, like a 5 mile double or something like that, um, an easy double, if you will.
there we go.
And um, and that kind of switched into now being, we'll do an hour swim once a week, we'll do an hour bike once a week, like maybe add in a third or fourth session between the two. But a lot of it is just to keep kind of like high intensity minutes and like essentially trying to stay zone two um, without having like that higher impact on your body. It's if we didn't do that and we supplemented that time with just continuing to run, I think we'd probably, be somewhere in like the high 90s, low 100-mile week range over like our 6 days of training. But instead, we usually stick around 75 in kind of in the mid 70s range, but with, you know, between 3 and 5 hours of hopefully around zone two cross training. So you essentially get the same aerobic benefit without having to just like pound the pavement. I would say the easy running here where we live in Virginia is not the best. So we'd be doing a lot of like, just like a lot of kind of either on the pavement or a lot of hills. It's hard to get in like a really soft surface, easy run. So I think the biking and swimming are a great way to get in just like a little bit more aerobic work without having to put the strain on your body. And it helps you really get from like one session to the next. Like we can hit 3 hours hard on the bike and then go like smash a workout the next day without having the same fatigue as if you were to do like, I don't know, a hard run, and then try to go work out the next day or even just like a long run, something like that. So for me, I think it's like it really works. And um, over the last 2 years, I've stayed healthy, healthier than I've been any year in my career prior. And I feel like that is in large because of, supplementing a lot of the actual like running miles.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So two follow-on questions. Are you working towards a heart rate on the bike to hit the zone two
Um,
area?
yeah, I think a lot of it is effort based. It's hard when we're at so like kind of in the winter months, we'll just be on the trainer at home. And that I think is a little bit we kind of go for like a heart rate and like average watt range on the bike. And then when we're outside it's a little bit more effort based. We kind of just try to like maybe break it up in thirds where you have warm up zone two and then you go a little bit harder at the end. But outside it's a lot more effort based just because here it's impossible to get like a flat road where you just go and you can kind of lock into maybe a pace or an effort. It's really hilly, so there's a lot of like coasting downhill and like really working the hills. So you got to be kind of strategic about how you approach it. So it's a little bit more effort based, but there's a lot of time, yeah, when we're on the trainer and it's like, yeah, try to just hit heart rate.
Hmm. And same with the swim, you're never looking to kind of like get a threshold effort out of it. It's more so just like a steady state.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a continuous, steady, it, and even in between, like there's a lot of breaks. We use it between, like after a session, the morning after a session, and the more like in the evening, we'll do just an easy, like probably hour run. So that morning we try to just, yeah, stay a little bit more in. zone 1, zone 2, just continuous effort, and then do a lot of stretching in the pool as well. Just to kind of like it's almost like an active recovery session, if you will.
Yeah, nice. People are probably sat here thinking, "Fucking hell, we're 10 minutes in, and you're speaking about cycling and swimming." But I think it's important, and amongst like kind of I don't know how to group recreational runners, just non-pros in general. It's probably like overlooked massively because people just chase intensity and mileage and often end up running into injuries. Like I have literally myself, and I've been doing some cycling and swimming, so I'm trying to hold on to the value of it and implement it back into my routine as well. So I think there's good benefit in it.
I definitely agree, and I think there's a point where you're probably gonna be in the pool or on the bike, and you can either do it voluntarily or involuntarily. It's either like you do it on the front end and like you avoid injury, or you get hurt and you're stuck on the bike or in the pool. And like I would much rather do it on the front end and stay healthy and be able to keep running. So for me, I think it's great injury prevention. I think it's a great way to get in more time in the week, more hours of intensity, and because really there is only so much strain your body can handle. So yeah, I get it. And honestly, like I feel like because of that, a lot of maybe like the stats about our training are not very flashy because we don't run a lot of mileage. We don't do a whole lot of intensity that often. So it definitely takes away from like the on paper stats. But I think if you look at it from like a little bit more scientific view, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, a lot of it is almost like the power to recover that you have, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's like the name of the game when it comes down to it. Like, you know, regardless of who you are, you're doing 2 to 3 intense sessions a week, and that's basically it. And the rest of your job is to like recover in between. And I feel like we're doing that maybe better than anyone else.
Yeah, fair enough. There's this is very applicable to like middle distance guys, but there's probably marathoners like punching the phones up right now.
Yeah.
So let's get into some quick fire questions then, because this is a bit of a tradition that we've been doing with these interviews. And feel free to pass. Coffee order,
Vanilla latte.
sugar free or just straight up.
Straight up, I got into coffee like a year ago because I was sick of going to like a coffee meeting or hanging out with people and getting like literally a hot chocolate. So I actually literally don't like coffee. I'll do either like when I'm abroad, I'll do a cappuccino or vanilla latte when I'm in the States.
Sweet. EPL team, any preferences there?
Not really. I'm not a big I don't follow too much, so unfortunately I don't have any allegiance.
No, I had to ask just with my English heritage.
I get
Half
it.
tights, half tights or splitties?
I'm big on the half tights right now.
Yeah, okay. Vapor or alpha fly?
I've only ever used the Alpha Fly once. I'd have to say Vaporfly, but Streak Fly clears both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
might
the
be a
track
hot
and
take,
on the
but
road?
yeah. I mean, like I'm not doing anything over 5K on the roads really, so uh, I would say yeah, Streak Fly for sure. But if I were to do like half marathon, Alpha Fly.
That's interesting because I remember when the Streak Fly ones first came out, and usually I would like jump the gun and just buy the shoe on release, like not bothered
Yeah,
about what the review was going to be. But for some reason, for this one, I kind of like sat around and I felt like it was maybe a little bit of a flop, but the two seemed to be received a lot better.
the two they changed the game with the two. The one definitely they were trying to go back to like flats that they used to do in the mid 2010s with no plate or anything, and I think it were just too squishy. But now that they have a plate in the two, they're like the best training shoe I've ever had. And I think like me and Cole are on the same page on that, and I think there's a lot of people that lean that way now too.
You use a massive on the structures, aren't you? Would you say that clears it even?
Yeah, I mean structures are so specific to like certain things you have to do. The Street Fighter is just like a way more fun shoe. Plus, you can run like a 25-second 200 in them, but you can also like do threshold if you need. So like they're really like kind of like a Swiss Army knife of a shoe.
Yeah, very versatile. 1500 or 5K?
I want to say 5K, but honestly, a 15. If I if I had the chops to be 15, I would do 15 over 5.
Okay. Favorite track you've ran on?
Uh, Lakeside Stadium, Melbourne.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that place rips. I love it. I love it there.
You were there when?
When I was in high school, my junior, so 2016, I actually snuck in. I had to like climb up one of the walls and jump over, and I did a full session. And on my last rep, security guard came and like asked how I got in. And so I was like, oh, there's a gate open like way down there. So I sent him to the other side. I finished my last rep and I got my stuff and I left. So I think there's probably like wanted posters of me still hung up there. But yeah, that stadium is so cool.
That's class. The park that it's in is great for running as well. So there's like a gravel
Yeah,
track all the way around.
yeah. No, I love it
So
there. That
were
was
you
like some of my
training
favorite
by
running.
yourself or?
Yeah, when I was there, I was just by myself. I was in high school, like on a family vacation for like spring break. Um, my like, neighbors are Australian, like in California. And so like we went and visited them, which was super random. Um, but yeah, I was there like right before I ran like some of my best high school PRs. So I think the Australian training got me right.
Yes, we'll have to get you back because they have a meet called Zatopek. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's probably like the
I have.
premier meet. Yeah.
Now I would love to do a little Australian circuit. I know like Centrowitz did that a couple years ago. It was like instead of doing indoors, I think he just went over to Australia and just ripped like 3 meets. And I was like, that looks so much more fun.
Yeah, it seems to be that like each year they kind of bring one or two internationals over. So like they brought Jake Whiteman out the other year, and then randomly
Mhm.
they had Tobago there this year.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'll have to call in some favors. I had quite a bit of time with Stewie this year, McSwain, so I'll have to tell him to put me on the list.
Yeah, you're doing the right networking.
Yeah.
Post race treat.
I'm a big burger and milkshake fan.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like you guys don't hold back, do you? It's like
No, I'm like definitely have a bad habit of like the second I finish a race, like everything's out the window. Like for the rest of the night, like gummies, chocolate, milkshake, burger, like whatever it is. Like yeah, I feel like you got to reward yourself, and like your body will be a little bit happier. You can't
it's
stick
like
to
that
like
free
the
hit, isn't
salad
it?
after. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm under the impression that you give your body something that it wants every once in a while. It's gonna be good to you. So I think it's important to do.
Favorite YouTube channel if you watch much?
I'm a big fan of uh my buddies at Minted New York. They do like I don't know if you know who they are, Marcus and Sean. They're like he was like a college lacrosse player turned marathoner, and they also like run like a menswear fashion brand. And they're super good guys and like some of my friends, and they always have really good cinematography. I definitely like Jake Whiteman's channel. Tap in with that quite a bit. And then you know who the athlete special is?
Yeah, yeah.
We watch his channel all the time. Uh, as like it's kind of like a guilty pleasure.
Sometimes they just get you through some of those cross trainings, stuck on the
It's
elliptical or
true.
something.
Yeah. No, sometimes I like go back and just like watch whatever old like even like old new gen videos are like, hilarious to watch. Some of my old moments I'm like cringe so hard at.
Some of your one-liners are unreal though.
I was like I was moving different when I was in college, like no shame in anything. Definitely like I think Sova's a little bit more classy.
Yeah, you've leveled up, but like New Gem was the original.
It really was. It was insane how much like positive feedback we got, and like how many people were like you really like kept me running or got me into running. I had people from different worlds being like, I've never run a step in my life, but like I just watched 10 of your YouTube videos in a row, and like I'm gonna go buy a pair of shoes tomorrow and start running. which is insane. Like you never think you could have the like power to do something like that for someone. So that was definitely like a super eye-opening moment when that kind of took off.
Yeah, it's so cool. Grand Slam track or Diamond League?
Diamond League.
And okay, we'll wrap up the quick fires there. So, I mean, we're 20 minutes in here, but take it back to the start a bit and give a bit of a storytelling picture. So you grew up in a town called Alameda near San Fran.
Yeah, yeah. So from the Bay Area, right outside of San Francisco, I, kind of grew up doing every sport in the book. Rode the bench on a really good soccer team, played lacrosse growing up, played basketball, played baseball. I was terrible at baseball. I was like really mediocre at almost every sport that I played. I was like good enough to be on a decent team, but like not good enough to be like a star player. And like kind of taking a look back, I was like, there's one thing in common that like makes me decent enough to be on every team, and it's like I can run really well. And I actually grew up like my dad took me to like kids triathlons, and it was really interesting because like when you're, you know, 8 or 10 years old, nobody knows swimming technique. Nobody knows how to like bike better than any other kid in there. So like it basically all came down to just like who was good at running. And so like I was on a tear on this like kids triathlon circuit, just like winning left and right with no training at all really. And then like in middle school, so my best friend Gavin was like known as like the, whatever fast kid in our town or whatever. And so I became really good friends with him and started at a local club track team. And we would drive like, you know, 40 minutes every day to practice, me, him, and his dad, and kind of just got into it there. And he actually was so much better than me until he got into like high school. And then I went to like a really small Catholic high school. I'm like not really religious at all, but I went to like a running camp that they had. I actually went to it by accident because my friend's brother didn't want to go, so he was like screaming and crying. And so he's like, "All right, we paid for this camp, so like someone else needs to come." So he called me up, and then literally after the first day of the camp, the coach who ended up being my high school coach like pulled my parents aside and was like, "Cooper needs to come to our school so he can be on our cross country team." Um, and basically like recruited me to high school, which is super weird. Um, and then yeah, went into high school. We won the like California State cross country championship my freshman year. Had a lot of really good like older guys that I think set me on the right path just to like continue to progress and really fall in love with running. So yeah, essentially kind of just made the steps that you would make in high school from, freshman year to senior year. I got better every year. Kept winning stuff and yeah, ended up running like 4 flat in the mile in high school, and it was good enough to get me a spot on the Oregon team, which I think for you know pretty much any running nerd like I was in high school, that's the like holy grail of opportunities. So yeah, got a call from Andy Powell and ended up going to U of O, and it my experience there was like really there was a lot of highs and lows. Like my freshman year, um, we had the Pals who were super, historic, had built the program up, and then they left after my freshman year, and Ben Thomas came in, and he was like kind of a pretty big question mark. Uh, you know, I didn't know where Virginia Tech was. I didn't know, I knew he had some good athletes. Like they would never bring in a bad coach to Oregon, but we had a lot of people who jumped ship and followed our old coaches up to University of Washington. And I was definitely like, kind of on the fence there and ended up staying. Had a bit of a rough first year, but I was like, okay, Ben definitely knows what he's doing. And then my junior year in came Cole. Uh, and like I kind of started syncing up with him. It was like me, him, and Charlie Hunter, and we were kind of this big three training group that ended up like really catching fire. And by the time I got to senior year, like we were basically winning indoor nationals as like a 3-man group. We put up, I think, 30 something points at outdoor NCAAs between the three of us. And yeah, that was kind of just like the start of really, I feel like living up to going from being good in high school to being good in college to like really being, on the world level. And that's what I always wanted. And I think having Cole there was really important to like push me to that. And I think vice versa. So yeah, from there, signed with Nike, and have just had like a pretty steady, consistent career since then.
Wait, I'm gonna have to stop you and jump in and ask a few questions
Yeah,
because we're
of
traveling
course.
pretty fast.
Yeah, I
Um,
was flying through that.
no, it's good. So like once Oregon was on the table, that was always gonna happen.
Yeah. There was like, I took, you do your due diligence and like I took some visits to other schools, but like in my head, there was never going to be another school that was going to live up to like what Oregon was in my head. And then I went there on my visit and it was like the second I stepped foot on campus, I was like, I'm going here. Like it's exactly what I wanted. And like, yeah, so Oregon was a no-brainer for me.
And then so the transition from like high school having a different coach there, I assume, then into one and two coaches in like your first couple of years at college. Did did that kind of throw you off a little bit and you kind of didn't really know where you were at, or were you still kind of naturally getting better as well?
I definitely was still getting better. Like each year, I think my sophomore year, the first year I had been, I dug myself. I was really determined to like show that staying was the right move and really determined to like, I don't know, just make this as good as it could be. And I think I dug myself a little bit of a hole. In cross country, I was like 100th or something, and just like I think I worked almost too hard to try to make it a reality. But once I hit indoors, like I started hitting my stride. I think I was like fifth in the 3K um, at NCAA indoors. So yeah, I definitely continued on the trajectory. I think there was a couple times where like I stalled out a little bit just because I was maybe a little bit too determined to have certain things go certain ways. But once I started to just like kind of trust the training and trust the process of it, um, I I think I found out that like regardless of where I am or who's coaching me, like I can be really good as long as like they know what they're doing. So I never I'll say I feel really lucky that I never had like um maybe a year where I fell far below what I thought I could do or my potential. I think I was always either on the cusp or, um, surpassing what I thought I could do each year. So, yeah, I had a pretty linear travel through, high school, college, and then beyond.
Yeah, so from what I could see, it looks like you maybe joined college with a 5K PR of 14:06. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds right. I was like low 14s, 840 something for 2 miles. So yeah, like definitely good, but kids are running like 13:30 in high school now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, then perhaps by the second year you're down to 13:32, and you were the Pac-12 champion as well.
yeah, yeah, that's when I really started being like, okay, like Ben has a good thing going on here. Cause I like, I beat Grant Fisher in at Pac-12s in the 5K and like he was untouchable at that point in my head because I hadn't done anything notable. That was probably my first notable like finish or win. And so I was like, okay, something's like we got some good cooking here.
Yeah, so he was like always a big name even back then.
Yeah. I mean, from like when I was a sophomore in high school, he was dominating high school, came right into college, dominating college. Like, yeah, he is also one of those guys who has gotten better every single year. And like he has the tools to be great regardless of the situation.
And then mileage is kind of increasing slowly throughout the years, or not really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, maybe like 45, 50 miles in high school and then went from like running a lot my freshman year, probably 75 to 80 miles a week, to like taking a full day off, and doing more cross training and once Ben came in. So yeah, I've always been around like high 60s, low 70s, kind of throughout my whole college career. So nothing really to like write home about, honestly.
Yeah, it's all down to like kind of the specificity in the workouts
Yeah,
and the intensity.
exactly. Yeah, like you can get it done without having to run 100 miles a week, especially in college. I think that's like a lot of people maybe dig their own graves by just being like, I have to do as much every week to like catch up. It's like, no, like if you really are smart and you put like quality over quantity, you're gonna be in just as good of a place.
It's interesting because you hear a lot of stories coming, well, as a non-American, that like kind of lots of athletes get burnt out in college and stuff. Is that just that Oregon kind of managed that really well, or is that just a bit of a myth?
I don't think it's a myth. I think um it depends on the program and the person. Uh you when you're in college, I think it's a lot harder to be methodical about your racing schedule. Like you're you're on a scholarship, and you're in a way you're working for the school, and the school wants to see you win big meets. They want to see you win, you know, Pac-12s. They want to see you win regionals. They want to see you win nationals. Like you have to do, and you're doing cross country, then right into indoors, right into outdoors. Like there's no time off. And so you really you're racing like every week, every other week for essentially the entire year. And so just sheer like quantity of races, it's hard not to get burnt out. So I think you have to have like maybe a good balance of and that's why I think that not running, 90, 100, 110 miles a week really benefited the longevity of my like college career, because I wasn't doing that plus racing plus doing school. Like I actually had time to like have some time to myself and like sleep more, do my homework and things like that. Like, I actually, looking back at it, cannot even, if you put me in college right now, I think I'd have to drop out, because I don't think I could do the schedule, especially after like being in a professional setting, like running setting where you don't do anything all day. I don't think I could go back now.
As a high level runner in college, is there a big social life as well, or are you kind of knuckling down?
You definitely have your groups. It's hard to it's hard to like make a lot of friends outside of, the people who are kind of built into your life, your team, and like your family and whatnot. I was like, there's always other sports that like, hang out because they have an off season. Like there's no off season. You're doing cross country indoors and outdoors. Like you don't get the chance to like hang out with people. And then you have to run before class and after class, and then you got to eat dinner and go to sleep. Like it's very hard to have like a proper social life outside of um your team, really.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So we get to 2021, and I think you became two-time NCAA champ in the 5,000 meters and the DMR, and you also become two times collegiate record holder in the mile as well as the DMR, where in the mile you outkicked Cole. I was watching that back in preparation for this.
Yeah.
So you've had a few close finishes where, despite like the fact that he's so renowned for his finishing kick, you've often come out on top as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I remember in it might have been 2022, there was like someone like ran the numbers on it, and like head to head with Cole over like mile or 1500. I think I was like 6-1 or 6-2. Like I mean, and I think a lot of that was maybe experience and just like maturity. Like I was just older and had more time to like learn racing tactics and stuff. But yeah, no, I've had like definitely many times where I'm like, okay, I'm as fit as Cole. Like I can close with Cole. Like so. Yeah, I definitely don't think that's like out of my wheelhouse. He obviously has like, that's like his superpower. And I think that shows time and time again. So, uh, yeah, I think I maybe need to think about that more in training and racing. Like, that I've been right there as well. But yeah, there was a lot of times, especially in college, where we were head to head, and I think he pulled me to a lot of really big performances, and I did the same for him. And I think that's what made our like 2021 Oregon team like that much harder to beat.
Yeah, because I seen somewhere as well there was a 13:06 race where you were both chasing the world standard, and it was pretty much solo, you and him just sharing the lead, taking laps, and you've ran away from him on the last lap in a fast 5K.
Yeah, yeah, that race was ridiculous. We were supposed to have pacing through 2 miles, and I think we got like 1,200 meters of pacing, and both of our pacers dropped out before we even hit like the first mile. And so essentially, like him and I just like were talking during the race and like trading off laps. But yeah, like and I think with like 2 laps to go, I kind of broke it open, and yeah, that was also a big one where I was like, okay, like this is my time and commitment to like building the aerobic base, having some really good anaerobic work in. Like I think I was like, okay, yeah, I should be separating here. But yeah, that was also like a huge breakout race, my first year being pro.
Yeah, okay, sweet. So then you've signed pro, as you mentioned, with Nike. I always say Nike, but I know it's Nike, isn't it?
I call it Nike. Yeah, I definitely hear all different things, but I think it's Nike.
So that was December of 21 after, was it the Olympic trials that year as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So was that in the works for a little while then? Obviously, you kind of knew that that was where it was bubbling up to.
Yeah, I had talks about like maybe signing right after the trials. I know. So me and Cole we were talking and we're like, all right, we're both gonna come back and we're gonna run cross country and then we'll sign like in the new year before indoors and we'll just like go pro after that. And then like a week into training for cross country, Cole was like, yeah, I'm just gonna sign now. Like I don't want to do cross country. And I was like, oh damn it. Like, cause we were like, yeah, we're gonna win like NCAAs as a team. I think at NCAAs our team got like last place. I got third to last. I literally crawled across the line. I had like a crazy like crash out. I don't know if you've like seen the video from that, but it's like kind of a hard watch, but also like a super big turning point in my career in terms of like somehow people were talking about that more than like Connor Mance actually winning the race. And like I also like it changed the trajectory of my career. Like I started doing so many more things after that to like stay healthy and like make sure that never happened again. So yeah, and then right after that, that was in November, and I signed the day of that cross country race, and then yeah, come the new year, is officially pro.
Similar to the way it was always going to be Oregon, it was always going to be Nike if that was on the table.
Yeah, I mean, like same as going to college, like did my due diligence, talked with other brands, and there's some other really like intriguing offers, and like, but I was like literally talking to Phil Knight, like uh, Nike had been the only running show I'd ever run in. It was yeah, it was literally the dream realized from my like 10-year-old self. So yeah, there was no other way it was ever going to go if that was an option. And Nike's been super amazing to me. I love everyone at the brand, and they really treat you so well. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
That I guess allowed you to stay put where you were as well and didn't have to move.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we got to stay with Ben, and I think we just like continued. We were on such an upward swing, and being able to not like skip a beat with that and like have to go somewhere else. Uh, I think it made that season super special and made kind of rookie season really fun. And I won USA's, made worlds that year, and so that was like the best thing I could have asked for a first year pro.
And how was that world's experience? Like, home games?
It was cool. So it was pretty unfortunate because both so like 2 weeks before USA's, both Cole and I got injured. I had a stress reaction in my tibia, and he had like a metatarsal stress reaction or stress fracture. Um, and so like we were cross training the entire 2 weeks leading up to USA's, and I think Cole might have had like another couple days off before I did, and I think that kind of just caught up with him. I basically like was fully tapered, so ended up running really well at USA's and winning. Had another 3 weeks to Worlds of just like being on the bike basically. And so when I got there, like I was aerobically fit, but when it came to the last lap and like people were turning on the jets and it was like went anaerobic, I basically like jogged it in. So that stuck to not being competitive there, especially after winning USA's and feeling like I could be in a position to, make a final, get a medal. It was bittersweet, but it was cool to like be in Eugene and kind of be in the mix of everything that was going on there. So it was really cool, and I think it was a great experience for me to have, even just like getting bounced the first round and being on the outside looking in, but like being able to be in the mix of things and just like get experience and talk to other people who were there. So yeah, I think that definitely kind of set the stage for um, m moving forward as a pro.
And I guess like although you're uber talented and like stack up on paper going into it, you're obviously very green and quite raw, a bit like the way maybe like Cooper Lutkenhouse or Ethan Strand were kind of like this year going in, like expectation based on the results on paper, but like actually turning up and competing in that sort of field is a bit of a different ball game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it's a lot different when you're away from home. You are actually wearing the USA stuff and you're racing 30-year-old dudes who are like have run X, Y, and Z close to getting close to world records and like it's intimidating and you need time to like, actually have experience. Like experience goes so far in this sport. And I think that's why like Cole's just getting better and better each year. He's getting more and more experience at the world level. And so that's really cool to see. And I think, yeah, same goes for me. So yeah, it's all about just like time on the circuit, really.
And that's why like this is changing subject slightly, but like the GB selection process. Ow, sorry, my cat's just like attacking me under the table.
That's
um,
all right. I had to put my cat away for this.
yeah, we're on to cats. The listeners love the cat talk. What
Cat
is
chat.
your cat called?
His name is Tank.
Tank.
And Tank, yeah. He's a little gray cat. He's really annoying right now. We got him as like a kitten. I did not ask for a cat, but Rachel like went to the shelter and brought him home one day, and he's
Mate,
so
this
cute. But
story is identical in our bloody flat.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. And now we have like so I also have a rabbit, like a little bunny. Here, send Tank in here. Okay, never mind. Well, here you can. Here's my rabbit, Hachi.
Hachi.
Yeah, her name's Hachi. She's a beast. Um, but yeah, Tank is a menace. He's big on biting and scratching and stuff right now. So, yeah,
Tank and
definitely like
Hachi get
not
on.
good. No, not really. We were told that so we had Hachi first, and we were told that like getting her like a friend, either like another rabbit or a cat would be really good, but Tank is proven to just be like a bully to her. So definitely she's not super thrilled about it.
That's class. Well, getting back to the
Anyway,
nitty
yeah.
gritty, yeah. So I guess then, somewhere around here you joined Bowerman. What was kind of behind that? Had you been sold a bit of a dream, or yeah, what was the process like?
Yeah. I think so a large part of even like looking at that was um I had felt like I had it was hard to be in a situation where I didn't feel like I was like top priority and with Ben. He was coaching the Oregon team at the time, and it was hard to, I'd always been like kind of the center of things, just kind of being one of the big point scorers and things. So being pro, like he still had, Oregon was paying his bills, so he had to put, you know, a percentage of that effort largely into Oregon. So, and my agent was also big on like, you need to, there's kind of a process to this, and you kind of have to like mature and get out of just like maybe your college situation that you've been really good in, but maybe gotten to the ends on. And so I looked around a little bit, and obviously Nike has multiple really good groups, and I talked with Jerry, and I just really liked all the guys on the Bowerman team. And so I essentially, after that USA's, I committed to joining Bowerman under the pretense of like, okay, I'm gonna move to Portland. They were still in Portland, training at Nike World headquarters, and yeah, it's just gonna be like training with these world class guys. Jerry is coaching only this group, and we're at Nike, and we have all these resources. And so 2 weeks after I committed to going to Bowerman, Jerry called me and was like, "Hey, I'm going to. I've been asked to like be the head coach at Oregon, and so I'm going to take that job. Everyone from Bowerman is going to move down to Eugene, and we're going to stay there." So essentially, the uh, environment I was trying to leave, I jumped right back into at even kind of like a larger scale. So now Jerry, like Ben went from having, me and Cole as pros and then the Oregon team, to Jerry had an entire team of men's and women's pros, plus the entirety of the Oregon team, jumps, throws, distance, sprints. And it was his first year like back coaching college. And so that was a pretty big shock. And whereas I went also from like, you know, I'm leaving Eugene, I'm going to get out of here where I've been going to college, and I'm like going to have a fresh start, and I'm going to have like new places to run, new things to do. And then I'm thrown back into staying in Eugene. And yeah, it kind of all like fell on its head when that happened. And I was still really committed to like trying to make it work, and just like trusting it, because I was like, there's still really great guys. Jerry's a great coach. And yeah, so like jumped into training with Bowerman. Honestly, like it was a pretty tough transition. It was really like different from what I was used to, but at the same time, like I really, really liked all the guys on the team, and got along really well, and ended up having like a pretty solid year. But I just like, I don't know, I wasn't sold on it. It didn't, it didn't feel like I didn't have that moment like I had had with Ben, where I was like, this really, really works, and this is really, really going to work for me. And so I had to make like maybe a selfish decision to leave again and go back to Ben, which at the same time was like also hard, because it was hard, like for lack of better words, like breaking up with Ben and like going to not like a rival, but like kind of a rival in a sense. And I was really like, it was really great to hear him be like, yeah, I would love to have you back and like continue to train. And I think for both him and Cole, like they both were really welcomed me back with open arms, and that was really nice. And I think, Cole had been kind of training by himself that year and was up and down, had some injuries. So I think for both of us, it really was a big step to like be back together training. And I think that's been, yeah, a really good decision.
I'm trying so hard to take all of that seriously, but when you're talking about like breakups and you and Cole and you and Ben, but how was kind of like the Bowerman setup then? Was like each athlete catered to individually, or was it more of like a Bowerman system and the athletes fit the system?
It was a system. Jerry definitely, I think he would draw sometimes on like, you would have a concern. He'd be like, look at all these people that I've coached. I've had Mohamed make every Worlds and every Olympics for the last million years or however long he's been running. And he like it was definitely like I hear you, but like trust the process. And for me, like a lot of the guys were really like, you know, distance 5K, 10K guys. And like I was trying to be more of a 1500 guy at that time. And so yeah, it was hard to like feel like I was getting everything I needed, and I was so fresh to the program but the hardest part was like I would have maybe stuck around longer, but I felt like I had already had success at the pro level in my first year out of college with Ben, and I didn't want to take time to have a year where I had to adjust and was not running super well, and then hope that the second year went better. For me, it was like, why would I continue to follow blindly when there's something that I know that really works that's out there that I could, have now, which is maybe like a little bit rash, but at the same time, I felt like I trusted Ben so much that it was important to like go back and continue exploring that route.
Because then how much of that are you thinking about? It's an Olympic year next year, and you want to be like in the right environment and stuff, and that was perhaps a big goal at the time to be ready for that.
Yeah, that was the sole focus, really. And it's hard because like a lot of times people, I think it's a pretty common thing where people are like, you need 2 years in a program to like really hit your stride. Um, and so I was kind of rolling the dice going back to Ben because like I hadn't been doing that training for the last year. So like that was even a risk going back because like maybe I did need 2 years to like hit my stride there again. And maybe I was gonna hit my stride really well that second year on Bowerman. So it was hard to make the decision, but when I did, I had to just like fully trust it and not like look back at all. So yeah, knowing that I had gotten fourth at the previous Olympic trials with Ben coaching me, um, I thought that that was going to be my best shot.
Yeah, and then so jump into that in the build up to those trials, you ran the standard as per World Athletics in both the 15 and the 5K, so you must have been kind of pretty confident and on a bit of a buzz going into those trials, feeling like you were in a good place.
Yeah, yeah, I had a couple breakthroughs. Like I had a tiny meet, ran 3:32 flat, basically. Ran 12:54, which was like a 12-second PR at the time. Uh, and
I
yeah, I
think
just felt like
at this point it's important to highlight to Australian listeners that if Cooper was Australian, then he'd be the Australian record holder in the 5K, because Craig Mottram is the record holder still from 2004, and the likes of Stewie and stuff have obviously tried multiple times, and perhaps Kai might get it. He's looking pretty good, but yeah, it's stood for 20 odd years.
yeah, that's crazy to think. Just with like the history of Australian running and everything too. But yeah, that was like kind of a random performance that just like happened, and I was like, holy shit, I ran 12:54. That's not you can't argue that. That's on paper that I think it was the number 3 US time all time at that point. And I was like, all right, like I'm like ready to do some damage, and um yeah, like felt really good leading up, but got to Eugene, and it's hard because I had 5 races over 10 days, and I felt like I was really primed to do really well in the 5K. Um, but I had 3 rounds of 1500 first, and made the final in the 15 and just kind of had a rough go. Wasn't ever super like really in it. Kind of got bumped around a bit, like missed a couple moves, and like mentally had to reset. Made the final for the 5K, and by the time I got to the 5K final, I was so burnt, like mentally, emotionally, and physically. Like I think I got like 3K in, and I was running like 70-second laps, and just like yeah, I was never in contention to even like give it a shot. So that was pretty disappointing. And I think I had wished that I had just focused on the 5K because I really think like I would have been there in Paris, like racing for sure. But again, like everything in retrospect makes sense. And at the time, I was like, I could make the team in the 15 and the 5. So yeah, it's definitely hard to um, feel good about it, but it's all perspective for the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the decision-making process around going for both the 15 and the 5K was a genuine hope of and an expectation that you could qualify in both rather than using the 15 as like a bit of a primer for your 5K main focus.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be like you're all in on whatever the first event is. Like we're all in on trying to make the 1500, and like Cole and I had both run really well over the 1500 and the mile that year, and um, we were doing all of our workouts together, and Cole had won the trials before. Like it was just about like being ready for it. And so yeah, I definitely like went really hard for the 15. Um, and yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, let's get ready for the 5 and like get some rounds in or whatever. So it was hard to like burn a lot of matches for the 15 and still be able to like come back and perform in the 5K. And I definitely paid for that down the line. When it came to the 5K final, like I remember being on the start line and be like, "Oh, what am I doing? Like I feel terrible." And there's nothing like starting one of the biggest races of your life, telling yourself that you feel like shit. So that was not an ideal scenario for me.
That just keeps the fire lit going into LA. I know it's a while off, but obviously it's kind of probably at the forefront of your mind with everything that you're doing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Olympic Games are the like pinnacle of running, and it's crazy to think like I'm training with someone who's like won the Olympics. Like I couldn't even fathom if I was 22 years old and had an Olympic gold medal. Like pretty insane to think about, and like knowing that that came out of like the camp that I'm in. Um, yeah, it's like super inspiring and like definitely puts a lot of confidence on my mind and feeling like I can achieve those same things. I just gotta get it right on the day.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably trying to draw from some of those sessions where no doubt like you would have buried Cole and then you know what he's gone on to achieve. So you know that you're more than capable as well, given like the right breaks and stuff.
Totally, yeah. That's the thing. Like you gotta make it happen on the day, and I think that's what like also one of Cole's kind of superpowers. Kid's more consistent than anyone I've ever met. Regardless of the day, he's gonna show up. So just got to be on that same wavelength. Doing it in practice, I think, is like the first steps. Continuing and like having years stacking together. Like by the time we get to LA, like we're gonna have like hopefully 5 years of just like consistency, and that feels like a pretty unbeatable scenario.
Will you look to still be targeting like the 15 and 5? Obviously, you can't say for definite one or the other, but like stay in that range up until LA.
Yeah, I think so. I actually just met with my coach, and like this year was really like 5K focused. I did one 1500 and it was like pretty mediocre, and like I felt like that was kind of to my detriment. So yeah, I think I definitely want to like get back into the swing of the 1500 a little bit more this year, and like it's only gonna help my 5K. I do think 5K is probably my best event. Um, it's like the same thing where I'm like, okay, I think like I'm better than Cole at the 5K. It's always like kind of been more my wheelhouse, and then he goes and wins worlds in the 5K. So like, why why can't I be doing that? So that's definitely like it's super cool to think about. Again, like yeah, what we do, you stack it up, you do the training, like you trust in it, and you will be good enough to like be in the mix at world champs. So yeah, just like continuing to do that, and yeah, and both the 15 and the 5. So I definitely I could see that being a double, but I think when it comes down to like, trying to qualify for LA, I'll probably be a little smarter and just pick one.
Yeah, fair enough. But even on the disappointment of those trials, you didn't shut the season down. You went to Europe on a bit of a pardon the pun tear, and took about 6 or 7 race wins. That must
Yeah,
have been pretty
I
fun.
was. It was super fun. I was going for the perfect European circuit. Ended up picking up a second place in one like in a 2K somewhere. But it was
Have you
super fun to just
have you noticed who won that race now with the hindsight of Tokyo?
yeah, yeah, Camille. So
Yeah,
like you
not
can't
bad.
be too pissed about that. Uh um yeah, that's definitely it makes me feel better about it. But that was super fun to just go back to the basics of like just racing and like winning and like learning how to win again. And like learning how to run from the front because a lot of the times like I would go into the race being kind of slated as the best guy in there. So it was fun to just like push myself and like really like look inwardly on how I'm racing and all of that. That was super fun and yeah, just getting to be in Europe for a little bit and like hang out and train and like see friends. I needed that to get back to like equilibrium and like get back to being to like wanting to uh like run really badly because after trials, that's a culmination of like 3 or 4 years of training for that one goal, and when you fall short, it's so hard to be like, oh, whatever, and just move on. Like it really takes a toll on you because this is our livelihood, and you spend 24 hours a day thinking about it. So yeah, it was cool to like have like a reset button and be able to just like go back and like back to the basics and have fun.
Yeah, the perfect kind of like pick me up and confidence booster just to go round winning races.
Yeah, that was
And
awesome.
I have to ask what you made of the race you done in the UK because it was a British Milers Club or a BMC in was it Bury or Trafford?
Yeah, it was very
What what did you think of that proper working class northern town?
yeah, it was a funny little track. Like no stands, no nothing. It was cool though. Like winning to Manchester after Manchester was nice. But I was kind of charmed by the quaintness of the meet. Yeah, it was just like you talk to every official, like, you talk to all the people, and you go around give high fives after. It was cool to like actually run fast there too. I think in that race I was like the only person that went with the pacer, and so I kind of just got a free win. I just had to finish basically. So that was cool. But I like how the BMC races are run. I think it's a really good circuit and down the line I might use that. I think we're planning on being doing like a maybe 6 week circuit in Europe this year, this coming year. So hopefully get in some more of those. But yeah, Bury was cool. I don't know if I would go back there necessarily, but I would do some more BMCs.
Yeah, 'cause it's like proper grassroots athletics, but feeds all the way up to like proper elite running in the UK as well.
Uh, well, yeah, you totally get like a little bit better sense of like how they do it and like what the setup is like, because it is kind of a lot different than like it's kind of more professional at like a younger level than it is when you're in like high school or middle school in the US. Like you see kids like really like tuned into athletics and stuff, and you see how that kind of runs up the ladder as you get older. So it was cool to see like a different approach to track, and it was fun. Everyone was like super cool there too. Like I liked all the people who were running the meet and everything.
And again, that's just the whole tour is like big learning experience, going back to like the worlds in Eugene being so raw and green, like you learning and developing so much from all these different races, I guess.
No, it's like the earlier you start, the better you're gonna be, and uh, it's cool to kind of run up the circuit and being like, I would have lost it if I saw like some of the people that I had looked up to. They were the same level as people were at, the BMC meet. If I saw them at a meet that I was running at too, like it's really cool to kind of intermingle that and like inspire maybe some of the younger kids there. So yeah, for me that was really cool and like cool to just like chat with kids after.
That's the amazing thing, I think, with like running and athletics. If you compare kind of like the access that you have to the athletes and the way the athletes integrate pros down to like recreational runners and stuff compared to like say I don't know what US sports you follow, but like baseball or NFL, and they're like just
Yeah.
complete top level celebrities, like completely segregated.
Yeah, you can't even like get the time of day from someone. Meanwhile, like you can DM the best guy in the world and he'll probably reply. Like it's pretty insane. Like if you're trying to talk to Patrick Mahomes or whatever, like you could know his brother and still not be able to talk to him. Like that's like the crazy part. So it is cool to be able to just like have a little bit more communication and um I think I draw a lot on, like I said earlier in the podcast, like I was such a nerd when I was in high school. Like, I loved running more than anything. I knew all the stats. I knew all my favorite runners. I knew workouts they were doing. I've seen every YouTube video on it. Like the access is so much easier to get in like a more raw form. And so I think at the same time, like now kind of being at a higher level and maybe like having that same influence on younger kids, like you want to be a role model and you want to be able to inspire that next person that, could be the next me or Cole or whoever it is. So it's cool to like see that and have like kind of a tangible thing to be like, okay, like I've given you this, like go out and do what you will with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not to say that everyone's the same. Like that's down to your personality type, like, and the fact that you're so
Hmm.
willing to do that. So I think it's cool just from you as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, you see it in majority of runners because it's such like a humble sport because you can't be like jaded by like status or anything. It's like because nobody has anything, nobody cares outside of like. I think it's so easy to be like think that everyone's watching everything you do, but like at the end of the day, literally like nobody actually has anything invested. People aren't betting on us and have like they're not betting the house on us winning a race. Like yeah, if like people really just like following along. Like I see why people hate people in the NFL because they ruin their lives because you're betting on it or something. So it's a really humble sport.
I guess that brings us to this year then, and not to overanalyze too much, but I guess a big part of the early part of your season, you opened your season in Milrose as you have done so often. You ran 7:30 over 3K for a nice PB, and then how far ahead of the Grand Slam in Kingston? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah. So I had wanted to do it. Cole had signed. I remember it was when I was in Europe racing the summer before. Cole was like the second person to sign with Grand Slam, and I was like, okay, that'd be sick. But in terms of like the challenger spots, it wasn't until maybe like a month or a month and a half before Kingston that they actually reached out and were like, yeah, I would love you to be a challenger. So I was super excited once I got that call, and we had just set off to like altitude camp right before, and Cole and I went from Utah to Kingston before to go to Grand Slam. So that was kind of like the first big meet, and nobody had any clue how it was actually going to go because I mean they obviously brought in like pretty insane athletes. Like Gebrewet had run 12:36 the year before. I was like, okay, is he just gonna like go rip a sub 13 off the bat like in the hot Jamaican sun? Like, and then we ended up running 14:40 and just jogging, and it was just like such a weird way to race and such a difference from the culture of in the last couple of years. Every race is a time trial, so it was weird to actually have a tactical race. But it was super fun. Like the first Grand Slam went super well. And so I was pretty hooked on the Grand Slams after that.
Yeah, because like drawing to that 5K race where it was 14:40 odd, you finished second to Fisher, so proving the fact that you can close hard in a slow race. And then in the 3K. So after that result, finishing second, are you then like overthinking tactics like shit, I need to beat this person to end up finishing here and like how's that play out in the actual 3K race itself, or do you just go for everything you've got?
I probably should have thought about it a little bit more, but like I really didn't. I was just like, oh, I'll just try to win. And then like two guys broke away. So I was like, all right. I was just racing. I know Grant talked about how he was like, okay, I just have to finish third and like I'm guaranteed to, and he was like doing all the calculations mid race. I didn't care. I was just running. I just wanted to run as hard as I could and finish as high as I could. It honestly like ended up working out. I got third overall, which was like pretty huge. I was like, okay, this is like sick. I was like, we're gonna get paid really well. It's a fun way to race where you get tactical experience without having to like recover off of running 7:30 in 13 minutes. We jogged. We jogged both of them. We didn't even break. I think we ran like 8:17 for the 3K. It's like a steeple time. It was awesome.
So then obviously you've ran well and you placed third overall. Was there anything in the initial conversation for Kingston whereby it was like if you do X, Y, or Z, you can come back for Miami or
No, there wasn't anything specific like that, but I've known Kyle Merber for like some time, so I was kind of like in his ear. I was like, yeah, yeah, you gotta. That was pretty exciting. And there was something where it was like the most watched or like replayed race was the 5K, and I was like, kind of put on a show there. Like you're gonna have to bring me back for Miami, and like we're gonna get the viewership way up. Um, and but I still had to wait like a couple, like 2 or 3 weeks before I found out I got into Miami. But I think it was just a thing of like, yeah, I competed really well, and the two people who beat me were like signed racers. So, um, yeah, had a bit of a chip on my shoulder going into that, and kind of did the exact same thing I did in uh Kingston. Just like did pretty well in the 3K, and then got second in the 5K. In a kind of a much different race. So it was cool to be able to like take a step back and be like, okay, I can compete when I'm jogging and when it's a little bit faster, but you still close hards. No, it's cool. Those I think talking with Ben where like he was like, these are great to just learn tactics and race the guys that you're gonna race and figure out how people run. And yeah, so that was super fun and like honestly beat a lot of really big names in some of those races. So for me, that was like a great way to start the season.
so did that, because obviously you would have had your year mapped out probably ahead of kind of getting those calls. So did that change plans quite drastically when they came up?
Not really. I think going into it, that was always the plan to try to go to the first two Grand Slams and then just see what happens from there. I was maybe going to do Philly also, but I ended up going to the Doha Diamond League instead, where I did absolutely awful. So maybe I should have done Philly, but at the same time, like it was one race, and at that point, Grand Slam was like kind of it was in its phase of kind of falling apart. It was probably I don't know. There was no bad or good choice. They both ended up being fine. But yeah, I was happy to like go and get some Diamond League experience at least.
Yeah, not a bad alternative, really. And you can be as diplomatic or sit on the fence with this as much as you like, but kind of like, how do you sit with Grand Slam now?
Well, it's hard to say. Like I the the thing that like is my issue is like they're they've been on this big kick of like full transparency and being like, look, we don't have the like investments right now. Like these people pulled out this and that. And like when you first read it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Like at least they're telling us, like they're being really upfront about it. But then like three different people sent me an article where it was like from the get go, they didn't have like the money. And I'm like, okay, now you're just lying to us. And you're already talking about getting investors for the next season. Like you need to cover your bases before you actually go out and like try to keep moving. And now they're like, okay, there will be no 2026 season unless everyone gets paid. So I don't know, the hope of getting paid is just like dwindling every time I see something new. There's nothing that's like keeping me hooked. So that sucks. I personally like, yeah, it sucks like losing out on a good chunk of money, but I think there's a lot of other people who are in a much worse scenario. Like like some of the like Ethiopian athletes put, you know, put diamond leagues that they could have won on the back burner to go, and they won hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're not going to see. And now they've lost out on the opportunity to maybe run the Diamond League final or, get $10,000, $20,000 from winning a Diamond League when they were under the impression that they were going to get life-changing amounts of money. So like when I look at it like that, I'm like, my life isn't over because I'm not getting paid from Grand Slam or haven't been paid. But yeah, obviously it's frustrating. And I at least feel like I had fun racing there. Uh, Like they put us up in really nice hotels. Like they treated us well when it was happening. It just sucks that like this is kind of the rap that it's getting now, and that they kind of did it themselves.
Yeah, I think it's just disappointing overall because, like, kind of as fans of the sport and Grand Slam coming in as a bit of a disruptor, like people kind of, I know it's split opinions, but I was kind of like all for it, like willing to get behind it and see where it goes. And then the fact that it's just kind of fallen on its face and the athletes are the victims of that is just like the worst possible result, really.
Right? Like especially when the entirety of the thing was built around lifting athletes up, building athletes' brands, like getting athletes paid. Because like I think Michael Johnson knows that as well as anyone, that like we don't get paid anywhere near what, you know, other athletes get paid. And it was really cool to see someone like advocate for that. But then to like turn it on its head and just kind of screw everyone out of, like Sydney McLaughlin is a huge athlete. She was what this whole thing was built on, and probably would have gotten upwards of like close to $500,000. And now what? Like, yeah, it sucks. And it's like, it kind of makes you wonder if like the institutions that are set up in track and field now are, nothing can ever change, and anything that tries to is like just destined for failure. This is kind of like the fate of the sport, is just to be mid-tier forever. I don't know, it's a bit disappointing, but at the same time, like it's cool that someone even tried it, and I think it'd be hard to fail again. If someone else tries, there's something to be
Fair,
said for that.
yeah, fair enough. Well, I hope you get your settlement anyway.
Me too. I'm hoping. I already spent it all, so it's not good.
Yeah, that's probably the problem. Like a lot of people would have made commitments on the back of this and stuff, so it is messy.
Yeah, I'm like, do I pay taxes on this money that I'm not getting, or like what's going on? So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So on the back of Grand Slam, then it was obviously a World Championship year. You went to the USA's in the 5,000 and finished fifth behind Cole, Grant, Nico Young, and Andrew Hunter. But there was was there still a chance on the back of that that if Grant or Graham Blanks won the Diamond League final, it would open up a spot for you even still or not?
Yeah, I was like actually on the edge of my seat. So I ended up going to like the NACAC championships, which is just like kind of like a small area championships, because you can get a ton of points from it. And so Drew Hunter beat me at USA's, but he did not have the world standard or the qualifying like ranking. And so I like essentially, if he had gone to NACAX and run like third five and one, he would have gotten enough points to move up in the quota to be like in the running to make Tokyo if someone won the Diamond League final. So I like went to NACAX to like try to make
Trump
sure
him.
it wasn't fat. Yeah, literally, it was like playing defense. It was crazy. And we ended up running another like 1440 race because it was like terribly hot and just like awful. So that's when I knew I was like the next up to, if Grant somehow won the Diamond League final, I would go to Tokyo. And then the Diamond League final list came out, and I was like, oh, Grant can totally win this. This is a race Grant should win. And then he got second by like, less than a tenth of a second. And that was just like, that was a bit of a heartbreak. And I think I lost a little motivation after that just because like emotionally, it was really hard to like be out of it, then feel like I was back in it and had a shot and then be out of it again. Like it just kind of like beat me down a little bit. So I ended up just training for a couple more weeks, running Fifth Ave, and Fifth Ave was decent. Ran 349, got eighth or something like that. Nothing like spectacular, but at that point I was just kind of like felt a little bit run down and like the season didn't go exactly how I wanted to. So it was hard to just like keep pushing on. But yeah, I like in retrospect, it wasn't a bad season. I think there was a couple things that if they had swung a different way a little bit, um, could have made, huge jumps. Could have been in contention for some really big things. But like that's how it goes, and things aren't always gonna, go your way. So, yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind 2025, and especially USA's being within half a second of making the team. Also, the whole goal is making global championships and being, painstakingly close. Uh, Definitely sucks, but it's a thing you have to deal with, and it's part of the sport. And you know I feel like high ties raises all ships, and that's what's going on in the US right now. And so there's guys that I think could be top 10, top 5 in the world that aren't making the team, and that you see that in the 15, the 5, basically every event in the US. So it's just about staying consistent and trying to continue to, uh, push the envelope and know internally that you can be one of the best in the world, and that's what I'm training for. So, yeah, just gonna keep on keeping on and continue to do as much as I can to be there in the future.
Ahead of then the next Worlds, obviously in 2027, is there any specific thing you feel like you want to focus on, or is it just like double down and keep stacking?
Yeah, I think there's some of like the mental emotional side that uh, I need to get under control when it comes to racing and just like feeling like I'm ready to be in these positions. Because I know physically, like I'm always in a place where I can be competitive, especially with my training group and um, just how things have gone. So I think maybe just being a little more methodical about how I'm approaching the season, races I'm doing, and yeah, just being ready for when the time comes up and you got to be clutch. I think there's some things that I've strayed away from a little bit that I can come back on. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's about consistency, and running is a very long, it's kind of a long game. So I feel good about being healthy, continuing to train at the highest level, and yeah, I think as the years go by, I think I'll continue to progress and hopefully, um, yeah, give Worlds, Olympics, all of that a run. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, you're as you referenced, like it's not about getting on the team and then figuring out how to be competitive on the global stage. It's like if you're on the team, then you're there in the race anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no question marks if you're going to be ready to go at Worlds. Because if you make the team, like you're competing, it's almost harder to make the team than it is to like make a final at Worlds. So yeah, if you can do that, you can do anything. So that's kind of always going to be goal number one.
All right, well, thanks very much for going through sort of a timeline with us. Really appreciate the transparency and the honesty. I guess just kind of like a 5-10 minute wrap up. I've got a few more ad hoc questions if you can spare some more time.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, Do you spend a lot of time in the gym doing strength work and stuff?
Not a ton. I mean, we lift probably twice a week, but they're pretty brief sessions, and I think I'm one of the big things I'm working on is like doing a lot more like strength and mobility outside of just like on a daily basis. But yeah, we definitely don't hit the gym as hard as I think a lot of other teams might.
Yeah, it's interesting because we spoke to Cam Levins, the Canadian marathoner, and he was
Yeah.
saying about how like gym like changed the game for him and helped him level up. And I think it's maybe like overlooked by a lot of people, but then there's obviously a time and a place for it.
hmm Yeah, you have to be pretty dialed in on what you're getting out of it as to not like I think you can also take away from your performance if you're working the wrong thing. So if you have a really good strength coach and someone who really knows your body well, like yeah, you can entirely change the game with like good proper strength work.
What is your favorite workout? And you can just be as simple as like hills, tempo, whatever, or you can be specific.
Um, I would say like cut down reps on the track. We have like multiple workouts where we don't ever do anything at one consistent pace. It's never like threshold miles at 5 minute pace or something like that. Like we're always cutting down. And yeah, we have quite a few different workouts where there's a lot of like change of pace. So I think that is kind of the secret weapon to like really being good and really being like tactically sound.
Even in like the long runs and stuff, you're kind of chipping away with the progressions, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no like it can be frustrating at times, like let me just go for an easy run, but it's always there's always something devious behind it. So but it's good. It's super important and I think that's kind of some of the secret sauce.
And I'm keen to understand the place that the Alter G has in your training load. Like, is that a permanent fixture?
Yeah. It has like time and place throughout the season, but it's it's one of like Ben's like mad scientist type of things that he's come up with that is genius. It's like overspeed training is what I would call it. It's like getting used to your body moving at these paces without like having necessarily like the impact or like the recovery needs of actually doing it hard on the track. So it's a super cool thing, and I think it's been a big reason why we've leveled up a lot.
I think it could be something which in like 5 or 10 years' time, people are looking back and thinking, why wasn't everyone doing that?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's obviously I think it's showing that it does something. Uh, there's no denying that. And yeah, it's just like it's making use of something that seems to be super like I don't know, have one use, but we've already found multiple uses for Alter G rather than just like coming back from injury.
Okay, I won't ask you to reveal all the secrets. That's good
No, I
enough.
can't. My lips are sealed.
Do you do any double threshold or use of lactate readings?
Nope. I did one like workout with Grant Fisher when we were at like the Faith Kipyegon sub 4 thing, and like um I did we did we like tested our lactate after the first one, and after I saw mine and then I saw Grant's, I stopped doing it, and I'm never touching threshold again. So I don't want to see a lactate reader in for the rest of my life.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you may have seen it. I remember seeing one of Jake Whiteman's videos and he was testing his lactate on like what was supposed to be a tempo run and it was like sky high.
Yeah, some people like I don't know. I think some things just have to be effort based. Like forget the science, just run.
Yeah, fair enough. And what's your current shoe rotation? I know we mentioned a couple of pairs earlier.
Yeah. Training wise, it's like structure 26, um, streak fly. I use the Vomeros for kind of just some easy running as well. Um, and then the they're not the the Peg Plus. There's like kind of I have like a new version, like prototype of those that is money. Probably one of my favorite shoes right now. So it's kind of my 4 shoe rotation.
When might someone like myself be able to get my hands on that? A while away?
I think I think it's pretty far down the road. It's hard to say. I haven't seen another pair of them from anyone else, so we'll see.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Lastly, I reckon I could wrap it up here. I've taken enough of your time. We have a segment on like our usual weekly show called Double Trouble, where we might do a bit of a hot take or something that's not necessarily going to get us in trouble, but maybe it might be a clash of opinions. Owen, the other co-host, is an Irish guy. He spoke to Andrew Coscoran the other week, and
Uh,
he said maybe the long run is a bit overrated, for an
yeah.
example.
Uh, I I don't know if this might be not also a hot take, but I think the worst session of the week is the easy run. Easy running is like all time like worst thing in my opinion. Like if I get like assigned like a easy hour run, I would way rather do like a workout. I feel like I'm at the point in my career where like I've done enough easy running that like there's nothing I don't like gain anything from easy run. And so I'm like I'd rather cut it out. And it's like if I could do a week where Cole and I've actually talked about this before. If you could do about like testing a week where you don't do any easy running and you just do like 4 workouts a week, like every other day, and then you like maybe swim the days in between or something. I wonder if you could get away with that because him and I both hate easy running. Like that's definitely my that's like the bane of my existence, I would say. So that's kind of my hot take.
Yeah, I'll pay it. That's fine by me.
All right, good.
Um,
Good man.
and I think with I don't know how much influence you have on the Sova edits, but all the like the music and stuff, I'm really into it. So I don't know, do you have a kind of a song that you'd like to put over the Instagram post for this episode? Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, I really like the song called Deja Vu. It's like a kind of like a underground like house remix of like a Olivia Rodrigo song. I used it in like an Instagram post like not too long ago, but that's kind of been my big obsession recently. So yeah, that could be a good one.
All right, I'll dig it out. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time. I'm sure all the listeners will have got so much from that, and I appreciate you coming to talk to me and sharing your insights and knowledge. Best of luck for next year and beyond.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. This has been great, and yeah, maybe I'll see you for the Australian circuit or back in Bury.
One or the other. Well, you can come to Perth. We'll do a warm weather holding camp in Perth, and then you can head over to Melbourne and race.
Genius. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, mate.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, have a good one.